And welcome back to more Inside IU East Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock. As many of you may know, last year the IU East Athletics Department announced that we're going to have a soccer program starting in the fall of 2017. Earlier this summer, we had Shane Meredith. He was named the women's soccer coach here at IU East in for an interview. But today we're going to name the men's soccer head coach here at IU East, and that is Mr. Steve Moore, who's joining me here today. Steve, thanks for joining me.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Well, just start off by telling us a little bit about your playing and coaching background.
Sure. I grew up, I was born in southern Michigan, so kind of my connection to the Midwest, moved out, grew up on the West Coast out in Washington State through high school, but then migrated back to the Midwest. I played at Greenville College, a small Division III school outside of St. Louis. Had a pretty nice career, I guess. Played as a goalkeeper, and then got right into coaching after that. Stayed on at Greenville, and have bounced around since then. Coached Concordia University up in Chicago. From there, was in Kansas at an NAIA school out there. Spent a year as an assistant at Division I Central Arkansas, and then came back to Chicago, worked at a recruiting service, and kind of saw a different side of the game, I guess, the recruiting side from the student's perspective. And then most recently was at Clark University, another fellow NAIA school out in Dubuque, Iowa. So bounced around.
So if you had to choose a favorite out of all those jobs, what would
oh man, a lot of them are a lot different. We loved Dubuque, the town, but from a school standpoint, Central Arkansas was, it was just so much different. You know, with being a Division I school and the funding and the expectations and things were just on a completely different level. It was a lot of fun, but it was eye-opening as well.
Right. All right. What are some of your top accomplishments in your coaching career?
Sure. I've kind of had as I look back on my career, I've kind of developed an MO of a program builder. My programs, I was coaching both the men and the women at Concordia, and my men's team won the conference championship. Only year they've ever done that in my first season. The women's team made a significant improvement. I don't think that they still hold the record, but at that time they held the record for most wins in a season. My teams out at Bethany in Kansas doubled and then redoubled their win totals. So just like I say, and the same thing again with Clark. You know, the past 2 years we've had 2 of the top 3 winning percentages in the history of the program. So just kind of building programs. Like I say, this is kind of taking on the same idea here, but we're not rebuilding. We're building from the ground up. So I'm excited about that possibility.
Now you mentioned Bethany out in Kansas, and before we came back from the commercial break, you were talking that you actually met Shane out there at one point, correct? I
didn't meet Shane. The conference commissioner, Scott McClure, came in just after I left as the interim athletic director. So I guess I saw the video of him earlier and thought, man, it's a small world here.
All right. So what interested you in the head coaching position here at IU East?
Sure. I'd had a good experience at Central Arkansas working at a state university. Again, a lot different than working in the private sector, but had a good experience there. Having the opportunity to build a program, establish traditions, everything that goes with starting a new program was something that I definitely liked the thought of. And then beyond that, being able to be at an institution that has the brand recognition and the level of education that comes with an IU education was definitely something that was ideal. And then beyond that, even further, just the success that the other athletic programs have had, the direction that the athletic program in general is going. That tells me, hey, boy, there's opportunity here. There's vast potential to not just build a program, but build a successful program long term. Was a huge factor.
Well, you mentioned it, and Shane did too when I got to talk to him, and so have some of the other new coaches here at IU East that I've talked to. It's a chance to start a program of your own, sort of build it from scratch. So what does that mean to you as a coach to have that opportunity?
It means a lot. I've mentioned a lot of other schools that I've been at, and every place that I've been at, there are, well, this is how we did it before, and there were, this is how the old coach did it, and there were, even with talking with recruits had preconceived notions about how the program was, some good, some bads, and here there's none of that. So it's a fresh slate. It's it's the opportunity to create those traditions, to establish that identity with the program and within the community. Whether we're talking Richmond, whether we're talking East Central Indiana, it's that's really exciting.
All right. All right. So what's your vision for the program?
I want to have a program of guys that want to compete. We're in a conference that's pretty dang good. We got the reigning national champions in our conference. So the standard, the bar is going to be pretty high. If we want to be successful, we want to win conference, we're going to be playing some good teams. So I want guys that want to come in, that are fiery, that can get after it and really compete. I want to be known as, within the NAIA as one of the best NAIA programs in the state. And in doing that, I think that's going to, put us on a national level.
Right.
I want guys that education's important to them just as much, though.
Right.
Like I say, that's going to be a big thing that I sell in the recruiting stages, and that's something that I want the guys to value once they get here. Guys that are going to be doing well academically, getting a lot of guys that are NAIA scholars. Ideally, one of my big goals is, hey, we want to be a team, an NAIA academic all team. So
Right.
That's big things that we're looking for.
As far as recruiting goes, are you going to look more toward the local area or outside of that?
I guess it kind of depends on what we mean by local. I definitely want to hit in Indiana. Even last night, I went and watched their local Richmond game. They played Mount Vernon, which I'd never heard of to begin with, but doing more. You got a bunch of good players,
Right.
And so they're closer to Indianapolis. I have in-laws that live up in Fort Wayne, so definitely we want to draw guys from Indiana. I want this to be an ideal location that 2 or 3 years down the line, I want guys to think, hey, if I want to stay local, okay, IU East is someplace that we need to check out.
Right. Well, with the first game not being until fall of 2017, aside from recruiting, what are some things you're looking to accomplish in your first game?
Yeah, just establishing that brand name beyond just how our play looks. Getting out in the community, establishing the presence of IU. Hey, there is IU East soccer.
Right.
I don't imagine that a lot of people know that. Maybe some kids that are local might know that, but if you didn't go looking for new soccer programs, you probably don't even know that they exist. So getting out in the community, getting involved in local soccer, whether that's Richmond, whether that's beyond Richmond, starting to establish connections with places within the Richmond community that we can be active community service-wise once the team does get rolling. That's an aspect that we want to get going. So yeah, like I say, just a lot of establishing a presence is in a niche for us.
All right, so what's your preferred style of play? And for those that maybe don't know a whole lot at soccer that's watching this at home, tell us a little bit, or describe it a little bit to us.
Sure. I would say that ideally, what we want to do, we want to be a team that possesses the ball, but we don't want to possess it just to possess it. If you watch soccer, a lot of times they'll flash up what the percentage of possession is for one team versus the other, and that's not always the team that wins. So possessing the ball, I think, is a good thing. It leads to winning, but it's the scoreboard doesn't show possession. The scoreboard shows goals. So we want to be a possession team that's got an attacking personality that gets forward. We're not going to be a team that just booms it forward and kick and run. That's not going to be how we play. If you're a back, you need to possess the ball. You need to have the same concept of possession as our center mids do. So we want creative players. We want to. I want players that want to go forward. From a defensive standpoint, we want to be sound. I don't necessarily feel like, hey, we want to win a bunch of 1-0, 2-1 games. I want to score goals, but I want, especially being a first-year program, we're going to give up goals at some point. That's kind of a given. But we want to be a team that gives up well-earned goals. We don't want to be making stupid mistakes and giving away freebies. We want a team to have to earn it. So.
Right. All right. So, what's your message to the IU East community as well as the East Central Indiana area on why they should support IU East soccer?
Sure. Like I say, I think that we're going to be a program that is fun to watch. So that's I know friends of mine that don't know soccer. The knocks on soccer that they give me are, hey, it's boring. There's no. One goal and one exciting play. We want to be a team that has a lot of exciting plays on a regular basis. We want to be a team that, like I say, is staying out of trouble, is getting into the community to be involved, to do community service, so that hey, it's not just a bunch of guys that come in and they do soccer at IU East and that's all they do. We want to be a team that's much more involved in the community than just that. So it can be legitimately a community team, not just a small little portion of the school here that's not involved any beyond that.
All right, and what's your message to the recruits on why they should come to play soccer at IUE?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. I was just telling a guy that I was speaking with last night. Most coaches will tell you, hey, everyone's going to get a chance to play. Whether you're a returner, whether you're a freshman, and that's really the case here because we have no returners. So
right.
It's a great opportunity. We're going to play a high-level soccer. We're going to have, great competition that we play against year in, year out, in conference, out of conference. So you're going to be able to measure yourself against the best in the country. And for that special player that loves soccer, that has a desire to play beyond IU East, right. We're going to be able to give you that opportunity as well.
All right. Well, last question for you here. Obviously, you've got to be a soccer fan. And,
I am.
With the Olympics going on in Rio right now, who've been some of your favorite teams to watch, and even outside of the Olympics?
Sure. Honestly, I haven't. With the move, I haven't been able to watch a lot of soccer Olympic-wise. I'm a PSG fan. I'm Paris Saint-Germain, and they've kind of had the run of the Parisian League, or the French League, I should say. The past couple of years, they've definitely had some turnover player-wise, though. So I'm anxious to see how things go this coming year too. So.
All right. So what initially sparked your interest in soccer?
I've been playing since I guess I moved out to Washington right before I started grade school and got going, and that was just the sport that I fit best with. I played a lot of sports growing up: baseball, basketball. Kind of the big ones that you play when you're a little kid. And it got time to high school, and Washington played their high school ball in the spring, so I kind of had to choose baseball, soccer. My dad grew up playing baseball, and so to his chagrin, I ended up playing soccer. But had a great experience, and one thing led to another. Decided, hey, look, I don't want this to just go by the wayside, and so that was a big factor for me in where I went to go play for college, was being able to play, and coaching kind of did the same thing. I definitely wasn't as focused on finding a job right out of school as I needed to be, and coaching was right there when that wasn't, when I hadn't prepared and when that was there.
All right. Well, sounds like you made the right decision by choosing soccer.
Yeah, happy with it.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you aboard here as part of Red Wolf Nation, and thanks for joining me today.
Great. Thanks for having me.
All right, well, there you have it from the new men's soccer head coach here at IU East, Steve Moore, talking about his outlook and vision for the IU East men's soccer program. Well, that concludes this episode of Inside IU East Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.